All right, welcome to our live stream here as we're going to go over the new feature for Fate Character Sheet called the Scene Builder. So this is a virtual tabletop built explicitly for Fate, the role-playing game Fate, so Fate Core, Fate Accelerated, and all your iterations there. We really geared this towards trying to make it easy to enter. So a lot of the other generic gaming tables are for any kind of game, and we've tried to make this more streamlined to make it a little easier to reduce that barrier to entry. So you do need a subscription to create scenes, but you don't need a subscription to play in scenes. So if somebody makes a scene, you can participate in it as a player. So from the home page, you'll just go to My Scenes, and you'll be able to create new scenes from here. And I've got some set up already, so I'm going to go ahead and play on this Fate of D&D scene here. So you just click your play button once it's set up. The setup is easy. When you create them, you're just going to make some metadata and stuff like that. So let me zoom out here, and you can see I've got a gaming table kind of set up already. And you can see that this table here is quite large. I'll zoom way out. You can use your mouse wheel to zoom out and around, and you'll see that I've got all this space here. There's a thin gray outline, the size of the table here. So you can zoom in and pan around on your scene and zoom way in to look at all your details. That's all good and well here. So let's talk about the main scene itself is here, and you can see we have aspects up at the top that we can add. Here's our toolbar for the main scene right over here, where you can add aspects to the scene. You can add new zones. It's simple as clicking Add a Zone and dragging that zone to where you want it to be here. And you can see if you click right in the corner here on this zone, it'll give you these little drag bars so you can make the size of your zone bigger or smaller and drag it around, all right? You simply just click on things to edit them. So we're going to call this zone the forest. And then it's easy enough if you want to, you just click on this, anytime you see this little edit image icon for any of your objects, you'll see they also show up for your characters and NPCs that are on your scene as well. But you click this, you can simply click search, and it's going to go, and by default, I'm going to search for the name in Google image search. That was the name of your object. So I'll just paste this in here real quick and hit OK, and you can see then we're on the forest, right? So a toolbar over here, and all the toolbars on each of these objects, you can see there's a toolbar for the scene, a toolbar for zones, and a toolbar for objects in zones over here. Those toolbars are going to be explained in our documentation on our GitHub wiki. So then when you have a zone here, of course, you're going to want to be able to add stuff to it. Right? So we have a couple different things we can add. And this table interacts directly with all the other tools here. So it interacts with your characters and interacts with adversaries. And also there's an option to take your chat and copy your chat over to one of your campaigns that you're running. So you can keep your log running in your campaign. Now, I'm going to go ahead and remove this guy here real quick so we can show you. If we want to add characters to a scene, you're going to go to the zone that you want to add the character in, click on the Add Character button, and it's going to let you search. This will search all the characters in the system, so search for a character that is owned by you or the person who's going to play this character. So we're going to import Dwarfly Dwarfs a lot, and you can see it grabs him, puts him in the scene, and characters are going to have this green bar to start with. You can change colors just by clicking on the palette if you want. And it's just going to bring in their aspects, and anytime they have consequences that show up when you're playing as the player, they'll show up here too. If you click your refresh button here, it'll just pull new character data over. So we want the players to play using the character sheet. So as a player at this table, you can simply click on this play character pop out, and it'll pop us out here and load our character and give us these nice blue buttons that let us use this character at the table. So as a player, I can see the table, I can see this character, and if I want to roll something, I click the plus button, and if you look back at the table, you can see that Dwarfly Dwarfs a lot rolled his perception check. All right, same thing with adversaries. If you want to actually see the full adversary and not here on the table, you can see we imported this ogre. You can play adversary by popping this out, and you'll see all these things show up here as well if you want to do that from there, but you don't have to. As the storyteller, you can run stuff right from the table here, and you can see the buttons are here as well. When we click these, you can see his stunts and extras go to the table. It invoking your aspects. Also, if you have a particular consequence, all right, he has the ouchie consequence, and if we invoke that, you can see it invokes here. All of these elements are interactive, so you can check off the boxes here. If somebody ends up to get a boost or create an aspect on some object in the scene, so say we create a boost on this ogre, you just simply create advantage or boost on here, and it attaches it to him, and you can name it whatever you want. Say he's tripping, and maybe we get an extra invoke here, so you can remove and add invokes. This works for characters as well. You can create boosts and aspects that are, sticky or fleeting on these characters. And it won't modify the character himself back on the sheet, so it just works for this on the game table. Same thing, these objects are all separate copies, so when you pull in a copy of this ogre from our adversaries, you're not modifying the actual ogre itself. But you can also see that all these, you're free to edit all this stuff. You can remove, you can add new skills, you can add new stunts, you can add new stress boxes here. This is a fully customizable sheet for adversaries once you bring them in. And if you don't want to import something from the adversaries, adversaries is very similar to players. You just type in the name that you're looking for and it'll show up here, right? You can search for a genre. Say I want to look for fantasy monsters. It'll show up here. You just click it and it'll bring it. But if you want to start from scratch and just bring something in that doesn't exist anywhere else, you simply click this Add NPC button. It brings you in a blank character sheet with all of the areas that you can just start adding for yourself. So fully customizable. During the course of play, we have these little markers to denote whether or not somebody has acted, and you can just simply click those once somebody has taken an action. And when your scene, the round for your scene has ended, if the round is ending, you want to start a new round for the scene, you simply come up here and click the new round button, and it'll reset all of these trackers. And let's see, the last thing here is moving. If you click on the Move to Zone button here, it should give you a list of all of the places where this current thing is not at. So now, so he's in the torture chamber right now, so you can see he can move to the dungeon or the forest. So we'll click that, and you can see he's moved over to the forest. So that's a real rough overview of how the table works. So now I'm going to log us in here. If you're the owner of the scene, you'll get this Start Game button here, okay? And so you click that. It's going to initialize a game server for us. And once that initializes, and real quickly, this right here is where your fate point pool is for the storyteller. Okay. All right, so our game server is up and running. You can see we can stop or join the game. It tells us right here that they're waiting for players. So I'm going to join the game. And you can see I come in here and my camera is enabled. If you need to modify your camera settings or your mic settings, you just simply click on this button right here. For settings, it lets you choose your webcam, your microphone, all that good stuff. So it sees me logging in here, and, and then when I want to invite my players, I'm going to copy the link. It's really just the URL here, but here's a quick way to copy it. You click on Copy Link. You send that to your players, and my player here is he's gonna log in, so he's gonna come to here, and you'll see it's gonna see my table already set up with all my changes. Everything is in place, and all he has to do is click this Join Game button, and we'll see here. Oh, can't start my video. I had to plug in here, so hang on a second here. Well, we'll try rejoining here. Well, when the camera works, I've got two cameras running off the same machine here, so. But they will be able to log in. This is just a problem with multiple cameras on the same system here. Let me see if I can get it running here so you guys can see that it works. There we go. Of course, because over here I'm probably using a different camera. So I'm going to exit the game real quick. We'll give this a stress test while we're in here, right? So I'm going to not use my audio. I'll just use my integrated webcam. I'm doing the game here. Awesome. And we'll join. All right, let's see. No, I couldn't start video. All right, well, it does work when you have an actual camera on your system, and they're not having two cameras connected to the same system. So, so you can see here. Here's my joined player over here, the Dark Tier Studios account, which is over here. which is this guy, and the brown on this side. All right, so anyway, we got 2 players up here. You can see that their name will show up here. You can send messages to them in the table. It sends it over here, and if I go look over here, you can see I private message them and all that stuff. So you can roll right to the table. So this guy's going to go ahead and roll 40F, and you'll see over at the table it says that Darktier Studios rolled 40F. So you'll be able to communicate with each other, talk on your mics. You can also turn these off if you prefer to use Discord or anything like that. So now you can play and updates in the game, right? So if I drag stuff around on here as the storyteller and move this guy over, and I go check over here, you can see he's moved. For now, players are able to interact with the table as well. And I decided not to have any sort of player locks because, frankly, if you're playing with a group of players who are going to mess with your table and mess up your game, you should find a new group of players. So, that being said, that is just a rough overview of the gaming table that's coming in here very shortly. We're going to do just a couple more rounds of testing in the next week here, and we will be going to production with this. But I wanted to show an overview so you guys can see how this works. Instructions are going to be found up on our GitHub wiki that show more detailed information about all the toolbars, some FAQs and troubleshooting and on all that sort of stuff. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope it helps your Fate games. So